Boom, 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 boom. Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to the Rich and Dwelyn Show. Today, we don't have Richard Cabrera, but we have the CEO of the Kidney Trails, Mr. Anthony Reed. I would like to say hello from Phoenix, Arizona, where we are always Phoenix rising. I want to say hello to my LinkedIn family, my Facebook friends, our YouTube followers, our Twitters on Twitch, and our our Twitchers on Twitch, sorry, and our Twitter bugs on Twitter. I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so mind boggled because I just finished the PKD walk for Phoenix in like an hour ago. And I wasn't even supposed to be on the show today, but with the heavens above, God willing, I was able to make it. Richard Cabrera is not with us today, but like I said before, we have Anthony Reed with us today. Mr. Reed, how are you doing today, brother?
Oh, I'm doing well, man. Doing well. Just doing my thing, Just
I
out
hear
here.
that.
It's funny. I was getting ready. I was telling Dax right before he came in and called me. I was like, I think it's just gonna be me today. I said, it's what it is. And I said, we'll go through conversations because Dax and I have known each other for a little bit of time. We'll space and
Right,
say about a
right.
year,
I
so
hear
maybe a
that.
little less. I don't know, but we started with that and. Next thing I know, you give me the call, say, "Hey man, I finished my walk. You still doing it today?" It's like, yeah. Let me send you the link. So you never know what
Oh,
happens, when you're live streaming.
that's right. I remember you said to me before, 'cause you and I talk all the time, and you said, life doesn't give you what you want. Life gives you what you deserve. And, it's up
Yeah.
to you.
And
It's up to you how you deal with it. And we all have choices. And, and life today was very challenging for me because I'll be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I wasn't prepared for the PKD walk. And I've known for months I wasn't prepared. But I had wonderful support here with Susan out of LA. And we had a lot of people show for the PKD walk. I made some wonderful connections in the Phoenix, Arizona as well. So today was a good day, and I would say this: any day that you're breathing and living is a good day. So Anthony, so now I know all the guests that come on here, and I kind of sit back and watch, but today it's kind of reverse because Dax, and I'm playing, as I would say, Richard's advocate because I'm Richard Cabrera today, so I get to ask all the questions, do all the talk or whatever, and the little innuendos and the little curveballs with our friendly curveballs, what we do, ladies and gentlemen. So, Anthony, enough about me. So tell me what's been going on with you. From my understanding, that we at the KT team have a business summit coming up called Building You, which will be in 2 weeks, correct?
2 weeks, a little less than that. Yeah, we got all the speakers
Woo!
lined up. We have the Charlie Johnson from HMS Technical, which will be talking about what it means to be a
Yes.
biomedical equipment technician. We have Mandy Tilton. She'll be talking
Oh,
as
wow.
well from, was it Bayada? Yeah, I think that's it,
Yes,
Bayada Health. And then we
that's right.
have Heather Coiner, nurse manager for another dialysis program. Steve Gadsden, he'll be speaking. He's all the way from
Mm,
Scotland, Glasgow. I
wow.
almost got them on the. He's going to be talking about how to utilize your network and how to grow your
Wow.
network. And then I'll be speaking as well, talking about. We'll be talking on how to expand your writing abilities. Is one of the
Mm-hmm.
things, how to utilize writing for business purposes. And then we also had the first day, I forgot, Marco Santana, you may remember him. When him and I
Mm.
spoke, he's going to be talking about how he went from a individual that's on dialysis up to an AA, up to a PCT, to CCHT, to a
Mm-hmm.
RN, all the way to what he's doing today. And
Wow.
then we also have a special Kidney Trails Fireside Chat live stream that will be coming on now. I'm not going to tell you much about the guests, but I will tell you it is the three three very special people. Okay.
Oh, wow. Great.
We're going to be talking about how to enhance somebody's teamwork. And that's all the information I can give, because that one is going to be absolutely fantastic. We're still working out the time, but I think that one's going to be interesting to be at as well.
So let me get this straight. So, I mean, I thought we, and rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, we had an all-star lineup for the Kidney Trail Summit, but some of those names that you mentioned, man, I got goosebumps and I got nervous, because I'm like, man, because if I was speaking, I would have to want to go on first. I would want to go behind none of those individuals, because I mean, I would probably stop the show, and not in a good way. So let me ask you something. So if individuals want to partake in this summit, they can go on our website, correct? They can register.
Yeah. So
and the days will be, what are the dates? I'm sorry.
Now, yeah, I think
Is
it's
November 4th through the 5th. Okay, I got you. So that'd be 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So is that Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And the way to register is you can go on kidneytrails.com. And the thing is, we actually have Zoom tickets that we're actually giving away. So we've got 74 of those tickets. The guest today will actually get a free ticket to go in the personal experience Zoom room. So that's we'll be getting a free ticket for that. And if you comment, put something in the comments, something in the chat, whether it's through LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, you as well can get a free ticket as well. So just keep in mind of that is coming, that can come to you if you so choose.
I hear that, man. So, and then also, like we our last show, we are still sending out the ebook link to my graphic novel. I don't know about this, A Patient's First Initial Dialysis Treatment. It's a sample copy ebook link, which we'll be having in ebook form, in a month or two to come. So, I mean, we do. It's the gift of giving, and man, Christmas is not even here yet. So I love that, man. I love it. So,
let's go ahead and bring our guests on. What do you think about that?
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this gentleman, this is going to be my first time talking to him, so y'all get to bear witness. And let's keep it stacked. Let's bring on Mr. Dax. Dax, come on out, my man. Loves to cook.
Hello.
Dax, I sure hope I got that fun fact about you right.
Yeah.
So Dax Francis, am I pronouncing that correctly? Dax Francis.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, Dax. So like I told everybody, like I told you backstage, I don't know who you are, Dax, but the cool thing about this is, brother, Mr. Dax Francis, I get to learn who you are in front of our audience, which is the world. So in about 2 minutes, let's do this little elevator speech thing. Tell us who you are in about 2 minutes, and then what I'm going to do, we're going to plug in some questions to you and some little fun facts and talk about what you're all about. Dax, shoot it, brother.
Oh, man, I'm a small town kid, grew up in Utah on a ranch, cowboy through and through, decided that wasn't for me early on in life. I got kidney disease actually when I was 12. So you can imagine I grew up playing football, basketball, all that stuff. And once I got my kidney disease, all that changed. It went from sports and friends to doctors and treatments. I really struggled with that. At 18, I unfortunately had to start dialysis right when I was trying to start college. Lost a few friends, as life always happens, and ended up getting a transplant. And more bad news, the kidney disease that I had recurred in the new transplant. I was right back to where I started. I felt hopeless for much of my adult life, my young adult life. Until a moment came, I realized I had to do more. So I set out, went to the big city, found my now fiance, started a business, finished college, got my degree.
Yes.
And recently sold the company that I started successfully. Okay. And now I'm just building towards a new future. Wrote a book and trying to work on that with Anthony here. And well, I think I made it under 2 minutes. So there we go.
Hey, Hey, as I like to say, there's no time limit on success, and in someone's story, that's great. I mean, so Dax, let's back it up a bit. So, you say you're from a small town, and I heard you mention Cowboy. Now, where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Woodruff, Utah. It's
okay,
right on the border between Utah and Wyoming. My family has a cattle ranch up there.
Wow.
Half of it is actually in Wyoming, the other half in Utah. Very rural. Grew up, riding in trucks on dirt roads, and most of my friends are still cowboys and do all that. So that's how I grew up.
Oh man, so I guess Dax. Now I don't know your age, and I'm not gonna. I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm 45. But when you said cattle, there was this commercial years ago with Wendy's where this young lady said, "Where's the beef?" So I guess you was around a whole lot of beef, growing up on that ranch.
Yep.
Okay, so let's get to the meat and potatoes of this thing. So Dax, you said that you were diagnosed. And correct me if I'm wrong, was it ESRD at the age of 12 or 18? What was your diagnosis?
It was ESRD at 18. It was FSGS, which led to the end-stage renal. Okay, so is it FSGS? Yep, correct.
Okay, so I'm not familiar with that term. So can you kind of inform us about what that term meant and what does it mean and how did it affect you at the age of 12 growing up?
Yeah, absolutely. FSGS is short for focal segmental glomerulosclerosis. Jeez. It's a mouthful. But basically it means that my kidneys don't filter proteins the right way. Instead of putting the proteins back into my blood and having a healthy body, the proteins pass over my nephrons and out and spills out in my urine, and that causes scarring, and that scarring eventually leads to failure. And there's no cure for FSGS. They haven't found any cures. Some people respond to treatment and some people don't. So it's really hit or miss. And every treatment I tried everyone under the sun, every experimental treatment that my doctors felt comfortable doing, we did. And nothing seemed to put it into remission ever. And once it recurred in the new transplant, it was pretty futile. And I was just back on treatment. There was really nothing else that they could do at that point.
Oh wow! Anthony, what's your take on that? Anthony, did you know this, or am I alone?
I knew a little bit. I knew a little bit about FSGS, just not a whole lot about it. I was aware of it, and that's something that I have seen in the past. We'll just go as far as that, but I'm not a nephrologist. I'm not a doctor.
Oh, I got you.
I do water.
Right. Yeah, because Dax, I'm gonna tell you, my man. I've been a dialysis technician for half my life, which is 22 years, and I've never heard of that term, and that's one of the reasons why we have this show. As Mr. Reed has explained to us time and time again, we want to explore the unknown territory and experience life lessons with our guests. So I mean, oh my goodness. So you mentioned earlier, you said that throughout your trial and tribulations, if you will, and like I said, and forgive me, you mentioned that you had a lot of battles, you had a lot of tasks to overcome. You had there was a lot of things brought to realization, brought to surface. And when I say that is when you mentioned something about you had friends, and that word past tense had, but you also at the time you said you had a fiance, which is your wife now. Am I correct?
So we're going to be married next year, but engaged. Yep.
Congratulations to that. So take me back to, as you were going through this, and you mentioned the thing about you had friends. So explain that to me. So therefore, I don't assume and I don't say the wrong thing, because in life we come across individuals, and I believe that people you meet is either a blessing or a lesson. So tell me about that, about the friends, and you don't have to say names, but how it made you feel going through what you were going through.
Yeah, this is it was really hard to just put it in simple terms.
Gotcha.
You know, dealing with something that none of my friends were dealing with, I tried to hide it for most of my life. I didn't want people to know what I was going through. I just wanted to be normal, you know, and I think most patients feel the same way especially when they first get diagnosed. They just want to go back to the way things were. And I was no different. And I tried to do everything that I did in the past, but my body was just telling me, you can't do this anymore. Like, you cannot perform at the level that you used to or that you want to. You know, it's just what it is. And I had to accept those kind of terms, but I really struggled at first, and I let those thoughts, you know, limit me. I thought, well, since I've got all these difficulties, there's nothing I can do. You know, it's pretty much worthless. I have to just wait until I get a transplant, and that'll fix everything. You know, I'll be back to where I was before. That was my mindset in the beginning, because I didn't really know what else to do. And it was really hard because I didn't have really any friends to talk to about it. Or, well, I did, but I just chose not to. I chose to hide that side of my life. And, you know, I let a few people in, and I didn't get the reaction that I was helpful. So I just stopped altogether. I was like, no, it's not worth it to put it out there. It hurts me too much when I don't get any help or recognition for what I've been going through. And I just kind of hid for a long time. I see. And, it was shortly before I started dialysis, I lost a close friend that I grew up, you know, in a small town. You know, everybody knows you. We were in the same class, and we grew up together. We did all sorts of things. We were, you know, not best friends, but we were definitely close. And he passed away in a car accident, and it really, really affected me and the other people, I think, in our class. It was right after we graduated high school, you know, still developing, and that was most of our first experience with a close friend passing away. And looking back, I think it probably affected a lot of us in the community, you know, not just the kids in my class, but everybody, because events like that shouldn't happen in a small town, but they do, unfortunately. And no less than a year later, 6 months after I had started dialysis, we lost another friend in another car accident.
Wow.
On the same road that you know, the previous person passed away on. And it was one hit after the other, it felt like, for me, you know, losing one friend, having to start dialysis. I lost my health, losing another friend, and I really retreated at that point. And you just kind of struggled. I was trying to go to college at that point, and I just stopped going. I was paying for classes, but I just stopped going. I was just so depressed. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted everything to end. And when the call came one early morning, it's like, Dax, we have a kidney for you. We need you to come down to the hospital. We need you to be here within a couple hours. And I mean, my dreams had come true. I called my dialysis center on the way to the hospital and was like, I'm never coming in again. Like, just give my turn. You know, I'm done. And
I hear that.
I was so happy and tickled, and we went down, and the transplant went beautifully. The surgery was great. And everything we thought was performing as exceptionally. And we went home about 4 days after surgery. I was dying to get out. I was ready to start my new life. I was looking at re-enrolling in college. I was looking at what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And, everything seemed so great again. Like, finally, I've got my life back. And less than a month after the surgery, we get the phone call that FSGS has recurred, and we have to start treatment immediately. And so I had to go back down to the hospital every other day to get treatments, just like dialysis. And I was right back to where I started. And I put off getting into school. I was like, I just can't do this right now. I was living back at home, and I decided, well, this is just going to be my life. I'm going to live on the ranch, and I'll just work here, and I'll do my treatments, down at the hospital. And I guess this is it. And I moved in with a friend who was also working on the ranch out there. So we lived in this little like cowboy shack in the bunkhouse, and we just worked. And I went to dialysis and would come back and work some more. And that was the routine. And I became pretty close with the friend I was living with, and we had the typical youthful adventures of partying and all that stuff out on the ranch. Not to get too explicit. And we just had a good time. We both kind of shared with each other our thoughts about life, and kind of had some deeper conversations. And those conversations meant a lot to me. He was one of the few people that saw the pain that dialysis caused. And I was on my way to treatment one early morning, had my cup of coffee, and I was just driving down the dirt road that leads to the highway. And about half a mile down the road from our house, I saw his truck flipped upside down and the ravine on the side of the road. Didn't look like his truck. I just thought to myself, well, that's odd. That shouldn't be here. And I looked down, I looked closer to the road, and he's laying there. And that just one hit after the other. I called 911. His family came. There was nothing that could be done. It had already happened. And at that point, I decided I couldn't do nothing. I was sick of all these bad things happening. I thought I have to do something good. Like, I can't just delve into this darkness that seems to be enveloping my life. Like, between the two of us, it wasn't him that should have gone. Like, I had not that much to give. He had a whole life. He was healthy. In my mind, that's what I thought. And I just made a commitment at that point that I had to live for both of us. I had to do something to make him proud. And that's when I decided to move away from the ranch. I moved to the biggest city near us here in Utah, in Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City, yes.
Yep. And I met my fiance, Missy, and started a business, got back in college. And really, the starting a business, was the culmination of all this positivity that I believed that I needed to bring into the world. I was just, of all the darkness, there had to be the opposite, light. There had to be that positivity that I could bring, that I could experience. And I felt that I deserved it. We were talking about we get what we deserve. And oftentimes it takes a while to get to where we feel that we can deserve those things. And
I concur.
And that's definitely true with me. It's not as easy as just being positive. You have to still persevere through all the negative. And there's always negative obstacles that pop up, but you can react to them positively. And it's not always easy. And, one thing I learned is that it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry at times, but that's right. We can't let those feelings determine how we ultimately react and come back from those experiences. We've got to, be a step above that. And, it's harder. It's harder for many of us with chronic illnesses. It's just more difficult. Right. And it's not fair, but it's just what is. And it's okay. It's okay. Mm-hmm. It may take a little more effort, but it's definitely okay. And it's worth it. And we deserve all the good things out there in life. And that's one of the biggest things I thought about when starting my business is, we often just get in the rut of feeling like we have to wait until life gets back to normal. And that's just not the case. And you can make and do great things despite your difficulties. And, you deserve it. Everyone out there, you deserve it. You really do.
That's right. That's right. Wow.
And that's from my end, I can kind of relate, because I've been on that side of the chair where you've been. And I've been to those places where life everything goes wrong at the same time, right? They say, raining cats and dogs. There's been times in my life it's rained cats and dogs, and you just wonder when it's going to stop, and then another one bops you on the head, and you realize you still need to take cover. So I can definitely, relate to that. And you were talking about the feelings, because there's a lot of emotions that go through our mind when these things are happening, right? I mean, there's this thing, you feel sad. Sometimes you do feel angry, depressed, all these other different emotions. And a lot of times, I know with me, I try to hide it. Some people try to hide it. Some people let it full blown, just let it rain on everybody else's parade. So, but what is amazing is, through all that, and none of that is good. And you said it right too. Life isn't fair. Life was never meant to be fair, right? It really wasn't. But for those of us that actually persevere, like you were talking about, and gain insight from those lessons, gain insight from those times, life will eventually open the door for us, like it did for you with your business, right? With the IVYE Wear. Do you want to explain to our audience a little bit what IVYE Wear is? And then I want you, if you don't mind, sharing a little bit about why you named it IVYE Wear.
Yeah, absolutely. IVYE Wear is, like I mentioned earlier, the culmination of every good thing in my life come to an actual product. From where I was, thinking about wanting everything to end, putting myself in situations where it literally could have happened. And where I am now is just a total 180-degree turn. And my family couldn't be happier either. I put my poor mom and dad through so much over the years. They are angels. IVYE Wear is comfortable, accessible clothing for chronic illness patients. It's very simple. All of the clothes have zipper access to accommodate multiple medical treatments and devices. And it was really just looking back on everything I went through, I just never felt that there was the support that was deserved for most patients. Oftentimes the care of the patient is, last in thought. It's the first step is medicine.
Excuse me.
The second step is treatments, procedures. It's never patient comfortableness, you could say. The comfort of the patient. And that really has always stuck with me. I was always cold during treatment, and I never understood why I always had to be cold. If I've had experiences recently with patients, young infant patients, and they do their treatments and they don't have any clothes on, like they're just in a diaper, and they're screaming and crying, and they don't understand why. Well, it's because they're cold. And, I that was just one of the biggest things that always stuck with me when I was at after my transplant and I was getting treatment at the hospital. I had to do it in the pediatric unit because they were the only ones that did this specific treatment called plasmapheresis, which is just exactly the same as dialysis, but they just take my plasma out and inject fresh frozen plasma. Same machine and everything. There was a young girl who was always next to me when I would get my treatments, and her access was in her thigh. And this young girl, about 12 years old, had to come into treatment every other day and expose herself to doctors and nurses in a way that was not good for her. That, it exposed her in a way that young girls, young boys should not be exposed in that way. They should be able to feel safe and comfortable in their treatments and not feel exposed to the world. And that was really hard for me. She would cry a lot over the pain of her access.
Excuse me.
So that experience really stuck with me. And that was one of the biggest reasons I wanted to create a company that was committed to providing products that were thoughtfully designed and curated for chronic illness patients. And you look around and there are other companies other than IVYE Wear that do these things, but it doesn't feel heartfelt. It feels like it's from the outside looking in, like someone sees an opportunity and they don't see the actual meaning behind the product. And I thought that me being a patient, my experiences, everything that I've seen and I've been through, this is something that I can do successfully in a way that tells people, chronic illness patients, that they matter, that their story matters, and that what they're going through right now, it's tough, but it doesn't define them. They can still be someone who makes a difference, who goes out and does the things that they love to do. They may have to do it differently, and I totally understand that, and it's hard. It's so hard, but you still deserve all the great things that this life has to offer. You still deserve that. And I wanted these clothes to show that despite your difficulties, someone is thinking of you. Someone is designing a product to make your life easier. And I felt that mattered, especially me being a dialysis patient with so many people feeling like they're stuck and they can't do anything. Maybe this will help someone realize that they can. And, my whole hope with IVYE Wear is that someone would take that positivity and do something better with it, make something bigger, create your own IVYE Wear, in whatever that is, create your dreams, create your opportunities, because you deserve that despite where you're sitting, in that chair, in that hospital room, in that hospital bed. Wherever you're at, you deserve so much more, and you can still be a person that contributes. It may have to be different, but it's okay. It's definitely okay. And that's really what I wanted IVYE Wear to represent. And that with the name, we wanted people to think about IV infusions in a positive way. So we thought, how could we do that? And we, thinking about, just kind of different Swedish words that meant comfort. We weren't really sure which way to go, and thought, well, maybe, IV and just add a YE on the end as kind of a positive, yes, a positive, it's okay, IV, You know, IV wear. That's what it's for. You know, IV infusions, treatments, blood pressures. You know, it's meant to claim that part of your life and say it doesn't affect it. You know, it doesn't define me. It may be a part of me, but it doesn't define me, and I'm going to battle it the best way I can. And these clothes are my shield of armor that I put on to go to battle every day. This is my, you know, cloak that I wear, and it protects me. It keeps me warm. And this is what I fight with. And that's our whole mindset, is that you can fight whatever you're up against. You can fight it, and you deserve that greatness that lies on the other side.
Wow. I never even thought of that. IV. I was thinking about Ivy League, but I never even thought about IV. You know, man, duh, brain. I won't say that word, but brain fog. You know, when my excuse, my excuse, the Phoenix heat, the heat got to me. Man, you know, Mr. Reed, you actually mentioned I was gonna get into that, so I'm glad you said that. Wow, well, Dax, I mean, geez. So what I get from you, Dax, what I get from you, you mentioned something about, you know, I mean, golly, man, and I've had pediatric patients, and it never dawned on me that an infant is probably saying, "Hey, it's cold."
Yeah,
it's not the dialysis. I'm cold, but they cannot speak. Subconsciously, we would say, "Let's get the baby a blanket." Okay, but it fascinates me for you. You've seen it from a different perspective, and like I said, I hate saying patients, because San Trevino has said to me, "We're not patients, we're people." So it fascinates me of what the individual, you know, in your situation, what you see and what you observe. You get, if you know, for me to make that clear. And when you said the young lady or the young gentleman, they were exposed in a way that they didn't feel comfortable. And one thing I've learned throughout my experience in my career is that everybody in this world wants one thing, and that is relief. You know, and I totally admire you for everything that's been thrown at you, man. You caught the ball, you threw it back, you dodged the curveballs. You've been hit, and you like, hey, whatever. And it got you to where you are today with the, you know, with IVYE Wear. And man, that's a phenomenal story. I love it. I love it.
Dax, I think you made him a little speechless.
Yeah, because Dax, I talk a lot. Everybody knows I talk a lot, you know, and you know, I was listening to you, and I'm like, oh, Ivy. I was like, duh. Okay, you know, and I saw how your body language kind of changed whenever you said, you know, all what you went through, and then you picked your head up and said, hey, I had to make this choice to go to Salt Lake City, Utah, you know, and step outside of your normal realm or your normal element, I would say. And what you did was you seek something greater. That's my perception of what went on. You saw something greater. You want to make a difference in the world, in your life, and those around you. And you definitely, as Mr. Reed always says, it's not your passion with purpose. You had your purpose with passion. You know, yep. So I mean, I totally admire that. You said that you wrote a book as well, correct?
I did, yeah.
Okay, all right. Is your book on Amazon, or is it
it hasn't been
a website?
It hasn't been published yet, you know. But
okay.
Anthony and I are still working through the details on that, but we hope to get it out there soon.
Well, and I'm gonna tell you something too. I mean, and Mr. Reed is very, very good at doing that. I mean, because Mr. Reed literally told me, I told him, I said, I'm not a writer. He said, yes, you are. He said, Dwelyn, everyone is a writer. And I told some individuals that today, and I passed along, everyone is a writer. Everyone has their own story to tell. You know, Mr. Reed said, well, this is what this is about, the kidney trails. We want people to share their life story. And, you know, when I was in Seattle last weekend, and everybody know about Seattle, people say, oh, it rains so much. So the analogy behind that is every drop of rain has a story, and there's a lot of raindrops, and I think all three of us, we all drops of rain and have our own story to tell. And Dax, I think that you not only have one book, I think you have more than one book as far as your life goes. I mean, I think that's a phenomenal story. Anthony, I know you probably have questions, but Dax, let me ask you something off the wall.
Okay.
What's your theme song whenever you walk into a place and you're like, this is me, like Eye of the Tiger or whatever. Like me, whenever I'm feeling like I'm going to take on a challenge, I pick Animals by Maroon 5. That's what I did when I was in Seattle. So what song resonates you and like, man, I'm feeling good? It kind of peps you up. What's your song?
My song would probably have to be Anthem for the Underdog by 12 Stone.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I'm not familiar with 12 Stone, so tell me, school me.
They're oh man, I couldn't tell you much about them. I listened to them when I was in high school, and you know the kind of music that we all listen to in high school. So
right, exactly.
Kind of an oldie by now, I guess.
Right. I hear that.
But yeah, I love that music that just kind of talks about the underdog.
I hear that, and that's how you feel, the underdog. Yes. Yep. Wow. Oh man, Anthony, what's your song, man? I never asked you that.
It can change from day to day, man.
True. That's true.
It depends. It could be smooth jazz one day, like Together Again by Dave Koz, or it could go A Simple Life by Ricky Skaggs the next day. And the next thing I know, I might be Mozart. I mean.
Oh yeah, I hear that.
I change.
That's true. I'm the same way. I can. I listen to everything. I listen to hip hop, R&B, rap. I listen to a bit of rock. I haven't jumped into country music, but but my genres, is versatile. And I think that there is no bad source of music. I think we all have our preferences, but I believe that everybody has a story to tell, and people choose to tell the story that way. That's the reason why I asked that question to a lot of our guests, because we all been there where a song comes on and you look around and you are the one singing it. You're in concert, everybody's cheering you on. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm gonna tell you, I have a wonderful voice because when I sing in the shower, the way the acoustics hits off the wall is amazing.
I'm not gonna respond to that one.
It is amazing, man. I can record like a recording session, So I mean, so Dax, I'm gonna get a little bit personal with you, my man. So you said you had this fiance, and it seems to me when I mentioned her, this is the second time I mentioned your fiance. Your eyes kind of twinkled. You got that smile on your face, my man. You're getting giddy. It makes me feel like that's like the love of your life. And that's something that's rare that happens to all of us, in our lifetime. Tell me how that transpired. The reason why I say this is because for you to find someone that loves you and you love her the same, and for you to, and I'm sure she knows your story.
Oh, yeah.
That's grand, my man. Oh, I like that. That's grand, my man. I like that. So tell me how that transpired, because that she really is a part of who you are today.
Oh, absolutely. And
yes,
meeting people has always been very hard for me.
Okay.
I as I said, I never really shared and was open about what I dealt with to the people I grew up with and grew up around.
Right.
And as an adult, I wasn't the type to go out to a bar and meet somebody, or, I just didn't meet people. I was very shy.
Right.
I still am shy. I'm timid out in public. I'm more introverted. That's just who I am. And when I was on dialysis, that was even, doubly so in the beginning. I just didn't want to go out and didn't want to meet people, didn't want to deal with any of that.
Right.
But when I decided to move to Salt Lake, I thought, well, I got to be different. So I just started putting everything out there. If I met somebody, dialysis story was a part of it. It became a part of me at that point. I had to accept that part of myself. I was, this is going to be my life. I have to be honest with myself, first and foremost. And I really found that online dating was where I was able to, to meet more people and have an open and honest conversation right from the beginning in a safe way, where I didn't have to be out in public and face someone, telling them this very personal information in a situation where it could really hurt me. If I don't get the response that I like, I don't want to spend time with that person. It's not worth my investment. So online dating, having that interface to kind of, put myself out there in a way where someone could say, well, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with who you are. I don't see, the difficulties you're going through. I see the person behind that. And that was really the useful interface for me. And that's how my fiance Missy and I met, was through OkCupid.
I like that. OkCupid.
Yep. And we had our first date. It was quite memorable. We went to a local cafe there in Salt Lake, and we talked for hours. We took a walk around the park, and as we got in our separate cars to leave, I'm turning left at the light. She's turning right. And as she pulls out, she gets hit by another car.
Oh, no.
She gets her whole front bumper torn off right at the end of our very first date. And I immediately pulled over to the side, and I, get out of my car, and I'm trying to help her. And it was just one of those first date experiences that you can't ever think is going to happen, but it did. And we've had such a great relationship from that point on, and we've been through a lot together. And
so I'm going to cut you off, but did she sustain any injury?
No, it was just a minor fender bender type accident. It wasn't anything major, thank God. And but it was just such a fluke, crazy accident, and just so memorable. We've had a ton of just memorable experiences together like that. We always seem to be in a situation where someone does something crazy, and it's great. She really is the love of my life.
I was going to say the man up above probably said the date shouldn't end just yet, and he had to distract her a little bit. That's why I wanted to say respectfully, I hope she didn't get hurt. I want to say, like, hey, the date was supposed to end, and I'm quite sure that you both, the way you described this, that she went right, you went left, correct? So for you to notice that, I'm quite sure that you both didn't want that date to end. So I guess that was probably one of the things, like when you pay attention to the universe, or when people meet and stuff like that. I'm an energy person. Sorry, I get into all that stuff. I'm an incense burner and all that stuff. Dr. Nupi can relate to me with stuff like that. I'm just saying. but I think that. Yeah. See, look at that, man. I'll tell you. So I think that is great, and that's wonderful that you and her, that you all were able to meet. That pretty much, and like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, she was able to accept you for who you are and not who you. I'm not gonna say who you were, because that is who you are. That is your journey. This is your journey, but she saw beyond that. I want to choose my words correctly. Yes.
She saw who I was and who I could be. And
man.
She definitely made me into a person capable of creating IVYE Wear. She was the supportive force behind it. I couldn't have done it without her. And without that love and support, oftentimes people don't think about what that means for someone who hasn't really had that in their personal life.
Exactly.
We have our parents and our brothers and sisters, but that's a different kind of love.
It is
when you have a partner that you can share life with and all that life entails. It really is a magical thing. It really is.
Oh, wow.
And the one thing I'd have to say, especially when you're facing something like dialysis or something like kidney disease, any type of disease, really, cancer, any of those other things, there's challenges in life. When you find that one, you kind of, you really have to love, they have to really love you to be able to stand through the different things that you have to face. You know, it's not just you anymore facing it alone, it's them. I mean, I know that personally myself because I started dating on in dialysis when I was on dialysis. Of course, my first date wasn't as exciting as y'all's. As exciting as I got is I ended up paying for our dinner with a gift card so I wouldn't waste money. But you know, it's a thing. You know, when you get to that point, and you know, congratulations on your engagement, and you know, once you're married and things, I think that's phenomenal. You know, it's that commitment to each other that I think is absolutely
Yes.
fantastic. And to be able to for you know for me, my wife, and you know for Missy, for them to say, hey, look, I'm gonna stand by you no matter what. That's a different.
Yeah.
If I could say this way and not get in trouble, I'm just gonna say it anyhow. That's a stronger type of love, I would say.
Yes, it is.
It's definitely
It really
different.
is.
But I do have a question because we put this up on there and I wasn't sure if I got it right. I had like 6 different ones from our different shows previous. But you said you love to cook. Now, is there anything particular you love to cook? And do you have to cook differently because of kidney disease?
That's a great question. Because I was diagnosed so young at 12 years old, early on, my mom really restricted my diet and was very adamant that I follow the doctor's orders. And so that meant very low sodium, low potassium, just a typical kidney diet. And over the years, I've gotten used to eating that way. So I don't typically add salt to anything. I usually always make stuff homemade. And just due to the, I don't know, the habitual way of life, you know, we fall into routine. Right now, I usually only eat once a day. And it's, you know, cooking. It's definitely, everything is just homemade. I prefer the taste. Don't add a lot of salt. So Missy is always adding salt to her dishes. She grew up always adding salt. So that's something that's different between us. But I've definitely gotten used to the low sodium diet. I don't like the salty snacks or anything like that. I can definitely notice extra salt in dishes. So that's something that is just kind of ingrained at this point, kind of normal for myself. But I've definitely gotten used to just cooking healthier for more kidney-wise dishes, you know.
Right. And when you say no salt, I'm sure audience is thinking, really? How in the world can food taste good with no salt? I mean, come on, you gotta have salt. Not necessarily. And I can prove that. I can prove that, you know. And Dax can prove it too, I'm sure. So just give it a try. Ladies and gentlemen, just give it a try out there one time. I think, you know, and a lot of people start experimenting when they're handed the leaner way of eating. That's the way I like to say it, rather than diet. Nobody likes to diet. I mean, come on. I mean, who likes to diet and exercise? Not very many. You know, we do it for a betterment of our health, but I think about it, you know, it's a leaner way of eating. You know, like you said, low salt, low potassium, not much tomatoes, potatoes, and I know the leaner diet has changed, or the leaner way of eating has changed for some of the guidelines, but I think it's it can be definitely different to eat for somebody that's coming over, you know, that's used to all the processed meat and stuff like that, and then you hand them, for me, it'd been chicken and rice, but you know,
yeah, that's right.
it's definitely different, but
yes.
I think it still can taste pretty decent. So, you know, we're getting near the end of it. Dwelyn, you got any more questions for Dax?
Yeah, man, but we only have like 5 or 7 minutes. But you know, I mean, we always said to do like a part 2. You know, I would like to say that I'm glad that I was able to pop up on the show because, like I said before, I didn't think that I'd be able to get on here. And like I said, it was no disrespect to you, but like I said, I had a prior engagement with the PKD Foundation here in Phoenix. Like I said, we did a walk today. It was my first time doing it, and I was kind of skeptical about it, but I made some great connections. I want to ask you something, Dax. Now that I say this, I talked with someone, and and I want your advice. I want your opinion about this.
Okay.
She said that she's not quite comfortable with the word kidney warrior. Now she has PKD.
Okay.
Reason being is because when you say warrior, and then if you lose the battle, are you defeated? I never looked at it that way, and now it raised an interesting thought of mine. So just the way people view things. And we also talked about, pregnancy, but that can be like another show because it was a very, very interesting topic when she mentioned to me that when she was diagnosed with PKD, it was pretty much saying, being judged in a judgmental way, that you shouldn't have kids because you're high risk. She felt like, well, people should be able to make a choice. But that, like I said, that's another subject. But how do you feel if you are addressed as a renal or kidney warrior? Do you? And the reason why I say this is because with renal disease or any type of disease, some individuals don't want it to define them. However, I'm going to just use an example. It was part of your journey. So how do you feel about the term, and there is no right or wrong answer. How do you feel about the term kidney warrior? What's your take on it?
Well, it definitely doesn't offend me.
Right.
I think, you can be more than one thing. You can be a kidney warrior, and you can be, a business owner, an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
You can be more than just a kidney warrior. So I've never really heard someone mention, I don't want to be called warrior because what happens if I lose the fight?
Yeah.
Well,
right.
And I respect that. That's that's a personal preference. If you don't want to be called a warrior, that's up to you. But I think most people would look at the term warrior as a term of perseverance, a term of endearment.
Yes.
That this person is dealing with something that I'm not. They're fighting something that I'm not fighting, and they're doing it in a noble fashion. So I think people should be able to determine, their own titles if they want. But if someone's gonna, call you a warrior, I would hope that they take it as a compliment.
I got you. Okay. Yeah. Because like I said, there's a right or wrong answer to that because I never even, I never even thought of it that way because what my takeaway today from the PKD Foundation here in Phoenix was being able to talk to this young lady. And I talked to many who this was their first walk, that they've just been diagnosed with PKD. And we're definitely going to have them on the show to bring more awareness with polycystic kidney disease. But, so I just never thought of it that way. So, so I just wanted your feedback. And I never asked Mr. Reed about that either. That's something him and I can discuss like after the show or whatever. Because I mean, and guys, I feel the same way as you. I can respect that because, you can be whatever you want. And I think people should have freedom of choice. Now, Dax, I know we got 2 minutes. I know Mr. Reed mentioned it, having the last questions. I like to always end with a quote because I'm normally used to closing the show out. So, Mr. Reed, are you going to close the show out? Or you want me to close it out? How are we going to do this today?
It could be a flip of a coin, hits Carolina, tails California. I don't care.
Well, I tell you, let's stick to the script, and I'm gonna tell you something, Dad. We never stick to the script because that's just not us. That's not us. Because we didn't stick to the script today because
I said, well, some of the things we've already said some quotes. We did some from Jim Rohn and things like that already.
That's right. That's right. So Dax, so if you wanted the world to remember you from this show and here on now, is there a certain quote that you live by somebody famous or someone like you? And I always ask Mr. Reed that too. Mr. Reed is full of quotes and knowledge. So Dax, we're about to close this show out. So if you want the world to know one thing about you, is there something specific, or is there a special quote that you live by that you want to pass on to others?
The biggest thing I think I can leave with people is that no matter your difficulty, no matter your situation, you deserve the greatness that lies ahead. And it won't be easy. It won't be an easy road to get to, but you do deserve it. And not all of us will reach it, but we have to keep fighting for that better future, that brighter future. Because the more we do, the less the future people that deal with our issues are going to have to suffer. So
I like that. I like that.
Fighting. Just keep fighting. Keep plugging away.
Keep going. Mr. Reed, what about you? Is there any? I don't want to hear about no coffee. No, I was messing with you.
I was getting ready to say one about coffee.
No, give it up, man. Give it up. Give it up. Yeah.
I just saw it. I was looking through the comments, and it happened along this morning. It said, "Coffee looked at me this morning and said, I don't do miracles." I'm a coffeeholic pretty bad. One a day. No, I think we did some, really good ones. The thing is, life doesn't give you what you want; it gives you what you deserve. I think that's a very interesting quote. There's so many different things, and I think just some of the things that Dax has shared with us today has been absolutely valuable information. And then not only that, it's these little. It's exactly what I like our shows to be about. It's not only bringing the aspect of things to the forefront, but bringing those life lessons that you learn, Dax. And I think that's phenomenal. And as we said at the start of the show, we definitely like to extend our invitation to you to have all access to the Zoom room for the Kidney Trust Building U Conference. And we've got, I think it's like 6-7 sessions. The only session that's not going to be to be able to be in the Zoom room is the Kidney Trails Fireside Chat Special Edition. That's going to be done just on the platform, just like we're doing here today. But we would definitely love to have you come. I definitely look forward to our discussions about some of the different things that we're working on together. And I think it's been a great show.
Most definitely. Well, I'm glad you said that, man. I'm glad I was able to jump on, and I want to leave with this quote from Henry Ford: "Coming together is a beginning, staying together is progress, and working together is success." All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our time. Signing off from Utah. Sorry, Anthony, go ahead. I'm sorry.
If you can just stay in the back room once we cut out, we'll bring you up and just talk to you in the green room, okay?
All right.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a great afternoon and have a great start to a great week.
All right, thank you.